In 2020, a study came out looking at adolescents and young adult occurrences of cancer in the US, and I think it's worth diving into for a few minutes and looking at some key takeaways that we should all be considering. Before we do that, a quick reminder that I am not a doctor. Anything we say here should not be taken as medical advice. You get the drill if you've seen a few of these videos. We're also talking statistics, and you really shouldn't make your decisions solely based on statistics anyway, because you are a unique person with a unique background, a unique environment, that you should be working with your doctors to come up with a unique plan for you. All right, so I just want to look at the study specifically. So I've just highlighted some lines, and we're going to take a look at them. So first off, in 2020, there will be approximately 89,500 new cancer cases and 9,270 cancer deaths in adolescents and young adults. This is ages 15 to 39 in the US alone. This is significant. And I feel like something we're not talking about, that there's almost 90,000 new cases of cancer in the US alone for young adults and adolescents. That's when Rachel got cancer 3 years ago, the number was around 70,000. So this is a significant increase. We're heading in the wrong direction when it comes to young adults and cancer. And that should make us want to understand why. That's part of what this study looks into, but also we should be left with these questions. Why is this happening? All right, let's look at the next quote. It's just a little bit further down. For example, an increasing body of evidence indicates that several types of cancer in adolescent and young adults are molecularly distinct from those that occur in other age groups, suggesting possible differences in how cancers in this age group develop and are most effectively treated. This was fascinating. Think about what it's saying here. Rachel gets colon cancer at age 27. That may be molecularly different than the colon cancer that someone else gets at age 60, 70, 80. It may be a different type of origin of that cancer and the specific mutations that brought it about, which should make us wonder, what are we doing to treat differently? If it's a different cancer, what are we doing to treat differently? That's a solid question in light of this information that, again, I don't hear people talking about. Maybe you do. That's great. I don't hear it. All right, let's look at the next section. In addition, for some cancer types, adolescents and young adults are more likely to be diagnosed at a late stage because of both delays in diagnosis due to the rarity of cancer in this age group and higher uninsured rates and higher prevalence of aggressive disease. So all these things are playing together, right? We've got 90,000 new cases in adolescents and young adults. We have the actual specific molecular makeup of the cancer being different, even though we call it the same. Colon cancer, different makeup for this young adult group. Finally, it's being found later. So it may be more aggressive, and it's being found later because nobody's checking. At 27, you're not getting a colonoscopy, right? At 27, you're not thinking about cancer. You're potentially not even thinking about diet. You're not thinking about health because you're young and vibrant and you have a whole life ahead of you. These things are all contributing to a really dire situation for our youth, for people in my age category in the US. And that's just page 1 of this study, right? This is fascinating stuff. All right, let's look at some specific data. So this is the estimated cancer cases and deaths in adolescents and young adults. So that overall number, look at how it's spread. In the 15 to 19, you have the smallest spread, 5,800 cases. Then you get into the 20 to 29-year-old at just about 25,000 cases happening before you're 30, right? So if you add in the 15 to 19, we're talking 30,000 cases of people getting cancer before their 30th birthday. And then in the 30 to 39, that is an uptick to about 60,000 But again, who's getting cancer screenings before they're 40 at least, let alone 50, 60, 70? These are really serious numbers that we need to take seriously. All right, let's break this down a little bit further. So this is a visual that shows the leading sites of new cancer cases in young adults. So again, based on age group, the types of cancer are different as well. So if you're in your 20s, you're most likely to get thyroid cancer of some kind, or for men, a testicular cancer, or skin cancer, melanoma. But if you look in the higher age range, 30 to 39, breast cancer now leads the way in females. So it's fascinating to look at, based on your age, what likelihood of you getting cancer is, and the type of cancer is different, let alone the molecular changes that are happening in that type of cancer. Okay, so this is why we're looking at this. All right, this next quote. Little is known. So this is talking about common cancer risk factors in adults, or in adolescents and young adults. Little is known about the causes of many pediatric cancers that occur in AYAs, and established risk factors for adult cancers are based on studies conducted among older populations, although the majority of cases in AYAs occur in the absence of a known hereditary predisposition. Summing this little paragraph up, doctors don't know what's happening or why it's happening. Little is known about the cause of these cancers. And even the things that they would normally lean into for risk factors are different, because those risk factors are based on the 50, 60, 70-year-old. And ultimately, there's not a key like hereditary. It's not like Rachel got colon cancer because she has a family history of colon cancer. This is the first in recorded history in her family line. And yet, she still got it. And we don't know why. And we don't know what caused it. And we don't know how to understand how someone else might get it so that we can help with some preventive measures. Right? That's what this study is saying, is doctors don't know why. All right, so let's look at statistics year over year. So this is in men, ages 20 to 29. The lines, the horizontal lines, are types of cancer, and it's looking year over year. So you can see there hasn't been significant uptick in these types of cancers. Some of them, so lymphoma, both types of lymphoma have kind of stayed at a steady rate, but you see testicular cancer increasing over time, and then over the last like 5 to 10 years, you see this pretty significant uptick in colon cancer in men. Again, we have the statistics, but we don't have anything in this study that suggests we have any answers for it. All right, let's look at women. Look at this. Okay, so melanoma of the skin went up, drops down. Colon is on a very similar track to the men, that there's this uptick over the last few years. But look at thyroid cancer. Look at what's happening to women in this age group, where you're essentially doubling your rate over the last 20 years. And we don't know why. All right, here are a couple other considerations coming out of this study. These are other factors that are contributing to the death of adolescents and young adults from these cancers. Young adults continue to be the least likely to have health insurance compared to all other age groups. In 2017, uninsured rates in 20 to 25-year-olds and 26 to 39-year-olds was 15%, compared to 10% among the higher age group. Lack of health insurance is associated with diagnosis delay, leading to more extensive treatment and poorer outcomes. Not surprisingly, AYA cancer survivors have more financial hardship out of pocket than the general, okay, because they're not insured. All right, now look at this. This will take a little bit, but we'll break it down. So these are different concerns for if you have cancer as a young adult. What concerns are there if you do survive, right? Because you're still, I want to be clear, you're still statistically more likely to survive than not from many of these cancers. So as of January 1st, there were 700,000 adolescents and young adults, 678,000, living in the US with a history of a cancer diagnosis, some of whom were diagnosed as children. These survivors now must cope with psychosocial, physical, and financial effects of cancer and the treatment of cancer, which range from mild to severe. A high proportion of survivors report a variety of unmet needs within a year after their diagnosis, such as access to a mental health professional, cancer rehab, or pain management services. So think about this. And Rachel and I have had to wrestle with this a lot. A lot of cancer services that are out there are focused, and even treatment is focused around those towards their end of life anyway, right? The over-the-hill crowd who are 60, 70, 80 years old. And so in those cases, first of all, a 10-year survival rate is incredible if you're 80. Getting 10 more years is a blessing, is amazing. Getting 10 more years, no matter what, is a blessing. But it hits different when you're 30 and you only get 10 more years. That means you're dying at 40, right? So our concerns as young adults is, I want 80 more years. I'm 30, I want 90 more years. That's what I'm going for. But everything that comes with that around the effects of, you're isolated. If you're 30 and you have cancer, most of your friends probably don't. All of your friends maybe don't. And so you now have isolation and need to process that. You have the trauma of going through cancer treatment, and again, being isolated from others who are going through that with you. These are all considerations that are unique to adolescents and young adults, right? This is why the Cancer Box exists. This is why we're here, to talk about these things that doctors don't have answers to. At least I'll say the medical community at large does not have a definitive answer to why this is happening, how it's happening, and how do we change it? And even if we can't change it, how do we serve those who are going through this, who are isolated, who are alone, right? There's 300 million people in the US, and there's 80,000 of them this year that are getting cancer in our age group, in the young adult age group. That is significant. We need to have better services for that community, right? And that's our passion. That's what we want to bring here. We want to be a part of that, but we also want to partner with organizations that can do it far better than we could on the mental health front, or the specific treatment options front and medical advice front. And so that's our passion, is because of statistics like this, because of studies like this that show there's no clear answer. And we have personally felt the effect of having no clear answer. If you have any questions, or if this hits home for you in wondering, why do I have cancer and what can I do about it? Reach out to us. We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to be a part of your journey in any way that we can.